Hello, welcome to this tutorial from Roland DG on how to use the job management function within Roland VersaWorks to set up cold, warm and hot folders. If we open up Roland VersaWorks and go into the job settings for a job, we'll see that the job management tab along the left hand side here of the job settings, when selected, if you go into here, not many of the options are selectable. If we exit the job settings, in order to make changes to the job management folder, we need to make the changes as default in our queue settings. So if I open up the QA settings for the moment, you'll see that a window pops up with the same options along the left hand side here as you would have in your job settings. Any changes that you make here are default to that queue. When you select the job management tab, you'll see that all of the options have become changeable or selectable. At the top here we can select an input folder for Roland VersaWorks so that you can drop folders into that folder from a network and have those files automatically open into your queue from your input folder without needing to go through the normal process of going to File, Add Job to Queue, or by dragging and dropping folders. This gives you the chance to perhaps have a designer at the other end of the building working on files and dropping them in a folder on a network which will automatically open into VersaWorks. There is an input folder for both queues, well, one for QA and one for QB, already set up for you on your C drive under the program files, as you can see in this location here. You can use that as your input folder, or you could create your own folder. To create your own folder, go to the destination, create your folder, and then select the box to the right hand side of the input folder option here. I've created a folder called RVW Inputs QA on my C drive, so I'm going to select that as my input folder. The action after printing box, you have three options: save job, delete RIP data, or delete job. This is for after the job has been printed in VersaWorks to decide what happens to that file. Save job does not mean that VersaWorks saves the job elsewhere, just that the job remains within the queue. If you want it to automatically delete RIP or delete the whole job data, you can select the other options. Next, we can choose the action for the incoming jobs. So that's for any file that you drop into your input folder. This is where you choose whether it is a cold, warm, or hot folder. A cold folder will mean that any file that you drop in will simply automatically come into the queue. A warm folder means that it will automatically be ripped, and a hot folder means that it will automatically be ripped and printed. If you choose to automatically rip or automatically rip and print your job, and all of your queue settings are set up as default the way that you wish to print, this can create a very automatic procedure. There's a few other options here. VersaWorks can auto-rotate your files to save on media space, and you can also get VersaWorks to nest jobs by certain conditions. So you have three options here: by time, by paper length, or by the number of jobs. So for instance, you could say that after every hour, any files within that folder will automatically be ripped and printed. Or when you reach a certain number of jobs, they will automatically be nested together, and likewise by a certain paper length. The other option that you have here is rip whilst printing. So you can choose that as a default in your queue properties to save on time when waiting for large files to rip. VersaWorks will rip and print simultaneously as the process goes through. The only downside with that would be that if for whatever reason the RIP came across a problem during its process, that would also stop the print. So depending on your computer processing power, you can choose the RIP whilst printing option. So I've selected the Roland VersaWorks Inputs QA file here. What we'll do is I'll just show you a demonstration. So here's my RVW Inputs folder, and if I drop my demo file here into the folder, it's just copying the item. This is quite a large file, sorry. it will go into the folder and then automatically go into the queue of VersaWorks. But note that the folder does not contain the file still. So once a file has gone into the folder and gone into VersaWorks, it will automatically delete the file out of the folder. So this is not to be used as a storage location. So that's it on how to use the job management folder within Roland VersaWorks. Thanks.